Maria woke up just before sunrise, as she did every day. She slipped on her worn sneakers and tied the laces with care, feeling the cool cotton of her socks against her ankles. Outside, the air was crisp and fresh, carrying the soft scent of dew on grass. She stepped onto the sidewalk of her quiet neighborhood, her breath forming tiny clouds that drifted upward in the pale light. A few birds hopped on low branches, greeting the new day with gentle calls. Maria loved these early walks. They helped her think clearly before work. She walked along Elm Street, the path she had taken so many mornings. Old oaks and maples formed a leafy tunnel over the pavement, their branches just beginning to show. Hints of green. Sun had not climbed high enough to chase away the remaining shadows. She passed the corner where a small park lay hidden. Something caught her eye near the curb. A dark shape, half hidden under fallen leaves, glinted in the faint light. Maria slowed her steps and paused. Curious, she leaned down to look. At first, she thought it was a piece of scrap metal or a broken piece of jewelry. Then she saw the small chain and the way it reflected light. She picked up the object gently and turned it in her hand. It was a leather keychain, smooth and well-made. The leather was soft, almost worn, as if someone treasured it and carried it every day. An elegant logo was embossed on one side. Other side, two initials were carefully engraved in silver. She studied them for a moment. Temke Maria felt her heart skip. Who had dropped this, and why here? She opened her palm and traced the logo with her fingertip. It was the symbol of a startup she had heard of, one that made smart home devices. The initials must match the owner's name. She could imagine the panic of losing such a keychain so personal, so practical. A sudden wish to help warmed her chest. She stood up and looked around. No one was walking in her direction yet. The quiet morning held only her and the keychain. She tucked it into her coat pocket, careful not to bend the silver letters. Then she resumed her walk, but her mind raced with possibilities. What if the owner was late for something important? What if the keys inside the keychain unlocked a family home or an office? Maria did not want someone's day to be ruined over a small lost item. She reached her apartment building and unlocked the door. She set the keychain on her small kitchen table, barely visible in the dim light. The table was cluttered with her sketchbook, coffee mugs, and the half-finished painting she had been working on. Maria paused, glancing at her surroundings. She was a graphic designer who worked from home most days. Her apartment was her sanctuary and her studio combined. Today, though, her artist tools would have to wait. She sat at her desk and opened her laptop. With a few clicks, she navigated to the startup's website and read about the company's mission. Brightspark made devices that could turn lights on and off, lock doors, and even brew coffee at a set time. Maria admired their clean design and simple interface. She opened a social media platform and searched for the company's page. Under posts about new products, she found the comment section. Maria took a breath and typed a polite message. "Good morning, this is Maria, I found a Brightspark keychain with initials MK on Elm Street near the park. If this is yours, please let me know, and we can arrange a time for me to return it." She hovered over the post button for a moment, then clicked. She felt a small thrill at taking the first step. She did not expect an answer right away, but she felt better knowing she had tried. While she waited, Maria made herself a cup of tea. The kettle whistled softly, and she measured the loose leaves into a small strainer. Steam rose in pale spirals as she poured water into her favorite mug. She wrapped her hands around it and breathed in the warm scent. The keychain sat on the set table beside her laptop like a quiet passenger in her morning ritual. She watched the notifications on her screen. A message from her friend Anne appeared. "Morning. How are you?" Maria typed quickly. "I'm good. Found something interesting on my walk. Want to see?" She sent the text and then wrote back to an A photo of the keychain, and replied almost immediately. "Oh wow, that's Mark's keychain. He works at Brightspark. He's their CEO. You have to give it back." Maria blinked at her phone. CEO. She read it again, unsure she understood. She called Anne and smiled into the phone. Anne's voice bubbled with excitement. "Yes, Mark King, he's the founder and CEO. Small world, right? Maria felt her cheeks grow warm. She had not realized the significance of the logo or the initials. Her mind spun with questions. Would Mark be upset? Would he think she was trying to hold him up for a reward? She felt a sudden flutter of anxiety. She ended the call and stared at the keychain. Mark King, CEO and single dad, Anne had added. The word CEO echoed in her mind. It sounded so big, so important. She pictured a busy office, board meetings, investors, high-stakes decisions. And in the middle of all that, this keychain was part of his daily life. The thought made her feel both small and strangely connected to someone in a world she hardly knew. Maria stood up and paced her living room. She thought about how she would handle their meeting. She wanted to be genuine, honest. She did not want to seem impressed or intimidated. She simply wanted to return what did not belong to her. She poured a little more tea and sipped, letting the warmth settle her nerves. After 10 minutes, she checked her laptop again. A reply had arrived. Thank you so much, Maria. Can't believe someone found my keychain. I'm free after work today. Could we meet at the corner cafe on Oak Street around 5:30? Maria smiled. The cafe was cozy, with painted wooden chairs and the best cinnamon rolls in town. She typed, "That works for me. See you then," and hit send. The message gave Maria a new sense of purpose for the day. She logged off her work programs and opened her sketchbook. She sketched a few designs for a brochure she was creating for a local art gallery. But her mind kept drifting back to the keychain. Who was Mark King? What was it like to lead a growing tech company? How would her life change after this? Simple act of kindness? She glanced out the window. The sun had climbed higher, and the morning chill was gone. She felt a sense of quiet excitement she had not known in a long time. All because of a lost keychain. It was strange how one small object could hold so much promise. She returned to her desk and placed the keychain beside her sketches, as if it were a guest at her creative table. Maria gathered her things and prepared to leave for the cafe. She packed her bag, making sure she had her sketchbook and a pen just in case she felt inspired. She checked her reflection in the mirror. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, her clothes neat and casual. Ready? She slipped on her coat, took a deep breath, and stepped out into the world, where a small keychain carried the start of an unexpected story. She arrived at the corner cafe just before 5:30. The warm lights inside glowed through the window. She could smell fresh coffee and baked cinnamon rolls as soon as she stepped in. Her heart beat a little faster. She smoothed her skirt and walked to the small wooden table where Mark was already seated. He stood up when he saw her, and his gentle smile eased some of her nerves. "Maria, thank you so much for coming," he said. His voice was calm and friendly. He reached out his hand but then stopped and offered a nod instead, and sat down opposite him. On the table next to his laptop lay the leather keychain, untouched. It looked almost perfect, as if it had never left his side. "I'm glad we could meet," Maria said softly. "I was worried you might think I was keeping it." She reached out and pushed it toward him. He picked it up and ran his thumb over the initials. "This little thing means a lot to me," he said, and then paused. "It's silly, but it reminds me of home." Maria felt her curiosity deepen. She studied his face in the warm glow of the cafe light. He seemed open and sincere. He closed his laptop and leaned back. "How did you find me exactly?" he asked, leaning forward, genuine interest shining in his eyes. Maria explained how she recognized the logo, searched social media, and sent the message. She described the moment she saw the keychain shining under the leaves. As she spoke, she noticed his eyes move with attention and respect. She felt proud that she had done the right thing. "It was very kind of you," he said when she finished. "Most people might have just walked by." Maria shook her head. I would have wanted someone to do the same for me," she said. Mark nodded. He signaled to the barista, who brought them menus and a glass of water for him and a cup of herbal tea for Maria. Then he ordered 2 cinnamon rolls and a latte. Maria felt her mouth water at the thought of the sweet pastry. "Fast way." When the barista left, Mark turned back to her. "So, you work from home?" he asked gently. "Your place must be nice." Maria smiled. She took a slow sip of her tea. Yes, I'm a freelance graphic designer. I do brochures and logos and web design. She paused. It's quiet. Sometimes too quiet. I like to talk to people now and then. He laughed softly. I bet. I spend most of my day in meetings or on calls, but it is busy. He tapped his fingers on the table. I've been looking for someone to help with our marketing visuals, actually. Maria sat up a little straighter, surprised, but she kept. Her tone casual. Really? That's interesting. I know Brightspark has a great product line. He nodded, his eyes bright. We try, but sometimes we need fresh ideas. If you're ever interested, I could introduce you to our team. Oh yeah? Felt a flutter of excitement. She had always hoped to work with a larger client someday. For a moment, she wondered if this meeting was more than returning a keychain. She reminded herself to stay grounded. She had come to return a lost item, nothing more. The cinnamon rolls arrived on a small wooden tray. They were warm and dusted with sugar. The smell of cinnamon and dough filled the air. Mark picked one up and broke it in half, offering a piece to Maria. She took it gratefully. Hey, please. He said, You deserve a treat for finding this. She nodded and bit into the soft pastry. The sugar melted on her tongue, and she closed her eyes for a moment to enjoy it. When she opened them, she saw Mark watching her with a gentle smile. This is amazing, she said. Thank you, he shrugged modestly. This place makes the best cinnamon rolls, he said. I try to stop by at least once a week. They ate in comfortable silence for a minute, listening to the low hum of conversation around them. Outside, the sky had turned golden as the sun set. The cafe's windows glowed against the darkening street. After the first cinnamon roll, Mark ordered another latte for himself and a plain coffee for Maria, saying it might help her focus if she ever considered the offer he mentioned. Maria laughed softly and accepted the coffee, grateful for both the drink and the friendly gesture. They talked about small things, favorite books, weekend plans, the best walking routes in the neighborhood. Maria learned that Mark enjoyed early mornings too, though for him it meant checking company numbers and sending urgent emails. He asked her about her design work and admired a sketch she had shown him earlier on her phone. She explained how she chose colors and shapes to tell story visually. He listened closely, nodding as he took mental notes. At one point, a sudden breeze blew through the cafe door as someone entered. Maria felt a quick chill and wrapped her scarf tighter around her neck. Mark noticed and suggested she borrow his jacket. She hesitated, but then agreed it was kind. He unzipped his coat and draped it over her shoulders. She felt the soft fabric against her arms and smiled at him. Thanks, she said. He smiled back. You look more comfortable now. As they spoke, Maria saw that he glanced at his watch. Several times, she wondered if she had kept him too long. But when she mentioned it, he shook his head. Not at all, he said. It's nice to relax for a moment. His words made her feel valued, not just for the keychain return, but as a person. The second cinnamon roll arrived, and they shared it. Mark told her the story of how he came up with the idea for Brightspark. He spoke of late nights in his kitchen, testing prototypes, and drawing diagrams on napkins. Maria listened, fascinated by his passion and persistence. She asked questions about the challenges he faced. He answered honestly, admitting there were times he wanted to give up, but felt driven by the vision of helping people with simple, life-improving technology. Maria felt inspired. She thought about her own dreams. Maybe she could expand her design business. The conversation opened a window in her mind to possibilities she had not considered before. She shared a small idea she had for a brochure layout, and he leaned in to look at her phone screen. He pointed out a color she might swap, giving her gentle feedback. Maria thanked him and felt her confidence grow. Time seemed to fly. The cafe lights dimmed slightly as evening set in. Other customers left, and the barista began to sweep the floor. Maria noticed the bustle around them, quieting. She looked at her watch and realized 2 hours had passed since their meeting began. She felt warm inside, as if she had known Mark. Longer than just one afternoon? She cleared her throat. I should get going, she said softly. Mark looked a bit surprised, but smiled. Of course, he said. He stood and took her coffee cup. She stood too, pulling the jacket wrap slightly closer. "Thank you again, Maria," he said, handing her the jacket. "For everything." She smiled and patted the keychain in her pocket. No longer strangers, but a bridge between two lives. They walked to the door together. Outside, the street was bathed in soft lamplight. The air was cool but pleasant. Maria thanked him once more and turned to leave. She heard him call her name softly. She stopped. "Yes?" she asked, glancing back. "Would you like to have coffee again sometime? No keychains involved?" He smiled. Maria felt her heart lift. "I'd like that," she said. He nodded. "Great, I'll be in touch." They said goodnight and parted ways. As Maria walked home, she felt light and hopeful. The simple act of returning a keychain had led to a meeting filled with kindness, mutual respect, and the spark of something new. She held the memory of cinnamon rolls, warm jackets, and shared ideas close to her heart. She dreamed of the next time they would talk, no lost items, just two people connecting on a crisp evening in a small cafe. Maria woke up early again the next morning, even though she did not have work until mid-morning. The sunlight peeked through her curtains in soft rays, painting her room in warm gold. She stretched and yawned, feeling a gentle excitement in her chest. Yesterday's meeting with Mark still felt like a dream. She remembered his gentle smile, the way he shared his stories, and the warmth of his coat around her shoulders. It was strange how a small acro turning a keychain could open a door to a new world. She rose from bed and padded across the hardwood floor to her kitchen. She filled the kettle and set it on the stove. While waiting for the water to boil, she opened her laptop and checked for messages. Her email showed an email from Brightsparks, Human Resources Team, thanking her for her interest in marketing design and inviting her to submit a portfolio. Her heart skipped. She smiled and closed the laptop softly so she would not jinx the moment. Her phone buzzed. It was Anne. "So, tell me everything." Maria laughed softly and typed back, "They want to see my work. I can't believe it." Anne's reply came almost instantly. "That's fantastic. You're going to rock their world." Maria felt butterflies fluttering in her stomach. She took a deep breath and texted, "I will. But first, coffee with Mark." Again, Anne's answer popped up. "Absolutely. You two are perfect together." Maria grinned. She knew it was too early to call it perfect, but she could not deny there was something special. She filled her mug with hot tea and wrapped her hands around it. The steam rose softly, and she let her thoughts wander back to last night's conversation. She remembered Mark's stories of late-night prototypes, his daughter Lily's laughter echoing in the office gardens, and the way his eyes lit up when he spoke of family. She finished her tea and got ready for work. Her workspace was neat, with her sketchbooks stacked on one side, her computer in the center, and a clear view of the street through her window. She opened a new document and began drafting a flyer, designed for a local gallery work she had planned yesterday, but her mind kept drifting back to Brightspark's email. She paused, tapped her pen on her desk, and then reopened the email. The words "Submit your portfolio by Friday" glowed on the screen. She felt a thrill of possibility. She spent the morning gathering her best designs, scanning them, and creating a quick online portfolio. She chose pieces that showed her color sense, her simple layouts, and her eye for detail. She wrote a short introduction explaining her approach: clean lines, thoughtful images, and clear messages. When she finished, she hit send and leaned back in her chair. The portfolio flew off into the digital world. Now all she could do was wait. Around noon, she heard a knock at her door. She looked up, surprised. Her neighbor, Mr. Patel, stood there holding a small box. "Delivery for you," he said, handing it over. Maria smiled gratefully. "Thank you." The door and opened the box. Inside was a small vase of fresh flowers and a note, "For Maria, with thanks from Mark." She read the note twice, her hands trembling. The flowers were bright daisies and soft pink roses. She arranged them in a clear vase and placed them on her desk. They filled her room with rich scent and warm color. Her phone buzzed again. "Was Mark? Hope you like the flowers. You deserve them." Coffee tomorrow. Maria's heart pounded. She typed back, "They're beautiful. Thank you." Yes, tomorrow sounds perfect. She smiled at the screen and placed her phone down. She felt light and hopeful as she returned to her design work. The next afternoon, she made her way to the small park near her apartment. She decided to meet Mark for a quick walk instead of the cafe this time. The sun was warm on her face, and a breeze rustled the leaves above. She saw Mark approaching by the pond, where ducks floated on the water. He waved when he saw her. "Hey, Maria," he said, stepping closer. His daughter? Lily was at his side, holding his hand. Maria paused, surprised. She had not known Lily would come. The little girl looked to be about 6 years old. She wore bright yellow sneakers and a dress with butterflies printed on it. Her brown hair was tied back in pigtails. "Hi, Lily," Maria said softly, kneeling so she could be at eye level. Lily smiled shyly. Mark smiled. "I hope that's okay," he said. "I thought you might like to meet her." Maria felt her heart melt. "I'd love to." He began to stroll down the gravel path. Lily skipped ahead, then ran back to them, pointing at flowers and stones. Mark jogged to catch up. "Show her your sketchbook," he suggested. Maria pulled out her small sketchbook from her bag and flipped to the page she had drawn last night. A simple line drawing of a keychain and 2 people meeting at a cafe. Lily's eyes widened. "That's me," Lily exclaimed. "Ah, and that's you." She tapped the drawing. Maria laughed. "Yes, that's us." Lily's smile grew. She leaned close to see more drawings. Maria sketched a quick picture of Lily holding hands with her dad. Lily clapped happily. They walked to a bench near the pond. Mark sat down and took Lily on his lap. Maria sat nearby. Lily leaned against her dad and he wrapped an arm around her. Maria watched them, feeling warmth in her chest. She saw that way he gently brushed his daughter's hair, how she looked safe and happy. Mark spoke softly to Lily for a moment, then turned to Maria. "Thank you for being so kind to her," he said. Maria smiled. "She's wonderful." She looked at Lily's bright face and said, "You're a great artist too." Lily beamed and grabbed a small stick to draw in the dirt. Maria watched her, remembering how simple it felt to be a child. Free and creative. After a moment, Mark said, "I want to show you something at the office. Will you come by after work?" Maria hesitated before answering. "Yes." She glanced at Lily, who was busy making shapes in the dirt. Lily's eyes met hers, and she waved. "It's okay," Lily said in a small voice. Maria smiled and nodded. "I'd like that." They walked back to the edge of the park near the street. As Maria left for work, Lily waved goodbye, and Mark mouthed, "See you soon." She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness about visiting the Brightspark office. That evening, she finished her work early and took a deep breath before stepping into the sleek lobby of Brightspark. The walls were painted white and pale gray, with modern light fixtures and green plants in tall pots. A friendly receptionist led her through glass doors into the main workspace. There were rows of desks with computers and prototypes of small devices on display. Engineers and designers exchanged ideas in low voices. Maria felt a thrill as she saw the logo on the wall, the same symbol on Mark's keychain. She imagined how many people worked here to make life easier. She wondered if her designs could help their marketing team. She heard Mark's voice behind her. "Welcome," he said, taking her elbow gently. "Let me show you around." He led her down a corridor with photos of early prototypes and press. Events. They entered a bright room filled with whiteboards covered in diagrams. Engineers paused their work to greet him. He introduced her as Maria, a talented designer I met recently. Each person smiled and shook her hand. Maria felt a warm sense of belonging in this new environment. She saw Lily's drawing pinned on a bulletin board under the heading, "Our Inspiration." A photo of Mark and Lily stood beside it. Maria's heart swelled. She glanced at Mark, who watched her with pride. They reached a conference room. Mark said, "This is where the marketing team meets. I thought you could sit in on tomorrow's brainstorm." Maria's eyes shone. "Too," he smiled. As she left the office later, her mind buzzed with images of the workspace and the people creating the devices she admired. She thought of Lily's drawing and the invitation to join the team's ideas. She walked home under the streetlights, her steps light. She held her coat close against the cool night air. She felt like she was stepping into a world bigger than she had ever known, a world where her kindness and her skills found a place. And she felt ready for whatever came next. Maria arrived at Brightspark early the next morning, her heart fluttering with a mix of excitement and nerves. Mark had invited her to sit in on the weekly marketing meeting, and she wanted to make a good impression. She stepped into the conference room as sunlight filtered through tall windows, lighting up walls covered in sketches and mood boards. Engineers chatted over coffee, and the marketing team gathered around a large table. Mark greeted her with a warm smile and introduced her to everyone. "This is Maria," he said. "She's the talented designer whose work I told you about." Heads turned, and friendly voices welcomed her. Maria felt a rush of pride and settled into a chair beside Mark. The meeting began with a presentation on a new product feature, a smart lock that could recognize voices. The lead engineer explained the technical details while the marketing manager spoke about the target audience. Maria listened closely, taking in their ideas. When it was her turn, Mark invited her to share a quick sketch she had prepared the night before. She felt her palms sweat, but took a deep breath and placed her tablet on the table. With a tap, she displayed a simple storyboard showing how a busy single parent might use the lock to let in a babysitter, then check notifications on a phone. The room fell silent as everyone studied her drawings. Maria spoke clearly, explaining how each frame told a small story, the relief of being able to see who was at the door, the peace of mind when a child was safe, and the ease of managing home security while rushing between work and family duties. She ended by suggesting a tagline, "Home in your hands." Mark's eyes lit up, and he nodded. Other team members murmured approval. Maria felt her confidence blossom. After the meeting broke up, Mark walked with her down a glass hallway. "You were wonderful," he said softly. "Your idea fits perfectly with our vision." Maria smiled. "Thank you. It feels good to contribute." He paused, glancing at his watch. "I need to step into a call with investors, but would you like to join me for lunch with Lily later?" Maria's heart lifted. "Love to." He led her to an elevator and went up a floor. People meals on one screen, Lily's school picture on another. It was clear he balanced two worlds at once. At noon, Maria met Mark and Lily in the company cafeteria, a bright space with long tables and colorful chairs. Lily sat on a booster seat at one end of the table, already nibbling on a peanut butter sandwich. Mark poured milk into her cup and smiled when he saw Maria approach. "There's my favorite lunchtime artist," he said. Offered Maria a piece of sandwich. Maria accepted it, and Lily giggled. As they ate, Mark asked Maria about her morning. She told him about the meeting and how welcome she felt. He beamed with pride and squeezed her hand under the table. Lily listened to their conversation, then asked in a small voice, "Can I show Maria my drawing?" Mark nodded, and Lily unrolled a sheet of paper. In crayon and watercolor, she had painted a picture of Maria returning the keychain to her dad at the cafe. Maria's eyes misted. She traced Lily's handiwork, seeing her own face drawn with simple lines and bright colors. The little angel wings Lily had added made Maria laugh. "I feel honored," she said softly. Suddenly, Mark's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and frowned. "That's my assistant," he said. "Something urgent has come up." He stood, pocketing his phone. "I'm sorry, I need to take this." He scooped Lily into his arms and pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Be good for Maria, okay?" Lily nodded and waved. Maria smiled and promised to keep Lily entertained. They walked to a small playroom just off the cafeteria, where toys and books lined low shelves. Lily chose a puzzle of colorful animals, and Maria knelt beside her. As they clicked pieces together, Maria asked, "What's your favorite animal?" Lily thought and said giraffe, because they reach high places. Maria nodded. "Just like you reach high in your drawing," Lily beamed. From the glass hallway, Maria watched as Mark hurried down the corridor, his tie askew and his phone pressed to his ear. She felt a pang of sympathy. How many times had she rushed through life, juggling her art deadlines and home chores? Yet here was a man doing it all on a whole other scale, with investors to impress, a company to lead and a child to raise. She looked down at Lily, who had finished the puzzle and was now building a tower of blocks. Maria joined in, stacking blocks carefully while Lily added bright green and orange cubes. They worked in silence for a moment, then Lily said, "Maria, will you come to my school play next week?" Maria's heart swelled. "I'd love to," she said. Mark returned 10 minutes later, looking relieved but exhausted. He knelt beside Lily and whispered something. Lily nodded and ran to him. He lifted her onto his hip and hugged her. Then he turned to Maria. "Thank you," he said. "So grateful you could watch her." Maria smiled. "She's wonderful." He squeezed her shoulder. "I want you to see both sides of my life," he said. "Come home with us tonight. A dinner and bedtime story." Maria hesitated, glancing at the stack of files she had meant to design that evening, but she saw Lily's hopeful eyes and heard Mark's gentle invitation. She nodded. "I'd be honored." That evening, Maria followed Mark to a small but cozy home near the park where they first met. The front door opened to a warm hallway, with family photos on the walls, a little girl's handprint painting, a picture of Mark's late wife smiling. Maria's throat tightened. Mark led her into a bright kitchen where Lily's school backpack lay open on a chair. The smell of tomato soup and fresh bread filled the room. On the counter, Lily's drawing of the keychain hung by magnets. Maria touched it. "She really likes this story," she said softly. Mark nodded. "She loves how a small act changed everything." Lily ran in, giggling, and hugged Maria's legs. "Make soup for us," she said. Maria laughed and helped ladle soup into bowls, while Mark toasted bread. They ate at a round dining table. Lily chatted about her day painting at school, playground games, and asked Maria about designs. Maria told her how she used colors to show feelings and shapes to tell stories. Lily listened with wide eyes. After dinner, they moved to a cozy living room with a soft rug. Mark sat in an armchair, and Maria sat nearby. Lily climbed into Mark's lap. "Story time," she said. Mark opened a book and began reading in a gentle voice. Maria watched them, the soft glow of the lamplighting. Their faces. Mark's voice rose and fell, and Lily's eyes grew heavy. Halfway through the story, Lily's eyelids fluttered closed. Mark closed the book and carried her to her bedroom. Maria followed. The room was painted sky blue with stars on the ceiling. A small nightlight glowed softly. Mark tucked Lily into bed, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Good night, my star." Lily murmured, "Love you." Mark smiled and closed the door. He turned to Maria, tired but happy. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "You've become part of our little world." Maria smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. She stepped forward and hugged him. He hugged back, and for a moment they stood quietly in the hallway. Then Maria glanced at the clock, almost 9. She had designs waiting on her computer. She pulled back and said softly, "I should go." Mark nodded. "I understand." He walked her to the door and held her hand. "You've been wonderful," he said. Maria pressed her hand against his and whispered, "I'm happy to help." She stepped outside into the cool night air, carrying the memory of tomato soup, bedtime stories, and the soft breathing of a sleeping child. She felt connected to something deeper than any project she had ever designed. The streetlights. She realized that kindness had led her to this place, a place where business and family, work and love, all found a delicate balance. She hummed a soft tune, thinking of Lily's giraffe puzzle and Mark's gentle strength. The simple keychain had unlocked more than a door. It had opened her heart. And she knew that whatever challenges tomorrow brought, she would face them with the same kindness and courage that had brought her into this new, beautiful chapter of life. Maria woke up to soft sunlight slipping through her curtains. She stretched, feeling warmth in her chest as she thought of last night's dinner and bedtime story with Mark and Lily. The simple act of returning a keychain had led her here. A new life filled with friendship, creativity, and love. She smiled to herself, then slid out of bed to start her day. In her kitchen, she filled the kettle and made herself tea. She placed yesterday's sketches and notes on her desk, ready to work. But her thoughts kept drifting back to the family she had come to care for. She wondered what Lily was up to this morning. She imagined the little girl's bright smile and asked herself if she could surprise her with a small gift. After tea, Maria gathered a small box and wrapped a drawing she had made. The three of them, Mark, Lily, and herself walking hand in hand with the keychain shining above them. She tied the ribbon carefully and slipped out of her apartment. She walked through the quiet neighborhood toward Brightspark's office. The air was cool but gentle, as if encouraging new beginnings. When she arrived, she saw Mark waiting by the entrance. He greeted her with a soft smile. "Good morning," he said. "I brought Lily today." Stepped aside, and Maria saw Lily in her school uniform, her backpack too big for her small frame. Lily ran forward and gave Maria a quick hug. "Happy Friday," Lily said. "I have a surprise for you." She held out a tiny envelope. Maria bent down to open it. Inside was a hand-drawn card, a heart with their 3 stick figures inside. "We like you," Lily had written in big letters. Maria's eyes misted. She knelt and hugged Lily back. "Thank you," she said. "This means so much." Lily grinned and turned to Mark, who watched with pride. Maria followed them into the lobby. She carried the gift box behind her, hiding it from view. Mark led them past the reception desk, into the office. Engineers and designers paused to say hello to Lily, who waved shyly. Maria felt the warmth of community in every greeting. They reached a quiet corner with chairs and low tables. Mark sat down on a plush armchair and lifted Lily onto his lap. Maria sat on a small couch nearby. She placed her gift box on the table. "I have something for you too," she said, smiling. She unwrapped the drawing and handed it to Lily. "This is us," she explained, with the keychain that started everything. Lily's eyes lit up as she traced the lines with her finger. "It's perfect," she said, hugging the paper. To her chest, Maria laughed softly. "I'm glad you like it."
Ow.
Then she took the next step. "I have another gift," she said, pulling out a small velvet pouch. Mark leaned forward with interest. She untied the drawstring and presented him with the original keychain now, engraved with 3 initials, MK, LK, and MD. Mark's hand shook as he held the keychain. He ran his thumb over the new engraving. "Maria," he said softly, "this is amazing." He looked up at her, emotion in his eyes. "Thank you." Maria smiled and felt her heart swell. Lily reached out to touch the pouch. "Now we're all together," she said. Maria ruffled Lily's hair. "Yes, we are." The 3 of them sat quietly for a moment, sharing the gift of connection. Suddenly, Mark's phone buzzed. He looked at it and then back at them. "I have time before a meeting," he said. "How about lunch together?" Maria and Lily nodded. Mark led them to a nearby park cafe, where they found a table under a blooming cherry tree. They ordered sandwiches and juice. As they ate, they talked about weekend plans. Lily suggested a picnic with sandwiches and lemonade. Mark agreed, adding that he could bring Lily's favorite cookies. Maria offered to make lemonade from scratch. They all laughed at the idea of a homemade feast. After lunch, they walked back to the office. Maria felt a sense of joy in the simple rite of walking side by side. At the office door, Mark paused. "Maria," he said, turning to her, "I want to ask you something." Maria's heart fluttered. She looked at him, curious and hopeful. "I know this all started with a keychain," he continued, "but I feel like it has grown into something deeper. Maria, would you consider being a part of our family officially? Not just as Lily's friend or as a designer at Brightspark, but as me." His voice was gentle, full of care. Maria felt tears prick her eyes. She thought of mornings filled with Lily's laughter, afternoons of designing storyboards, evenings of dinner and bedtime books. She thought of the kindness that led her here, and the love that made her stay. She nodded, her voice soft but sure. "Yes, Mark, I would love that." His face broke into a broad, relieved smile. He reached out and took her hand. Lily clapped her small hands and shouted, "Yes!" Maria wrapped her arms around both of them, and they stood together under the pink blossoms. Later that week, Maria sat at her desk, working on a Brightspark brochure. Her phone buzzed with a message from the HR team. "Congratulations, Maria. We would like to offer you the position of lead marketing designer." She stared at the message in disbelief, then let out a joyful laugh. She thought of Mark's encouragement and of the team's support. She tapped accept and felt her future open wide. That evening, she met Mark and Lily at their home. They celebrated with homemade lemonade and chocolate chip cookies. Lily ran around with a paper crown they had made together. Mark lifted Maria in a gentle spin. As the sun set, they moved to the front porch. Mark held Maria close, and Lily climbed onto their laps with her drawing. They watched the sky turn orange and pink. Maria felt peace settle in her heart. She looked at the keychain on her finger. It dangled from her keys now, a reminder of how kindness can change a life. She thought of the day she found it shining under leaves, and how that small moment led to love, family, and a place where she belonged. Mark kissed her forehead. "Welcome home," he whispered. Lily snuggled closer, and Maria closed her eyes, savoring the gentle peace of a life built on caring and connection. And so, the ordinary keychain that once lay forgotten by the curb became a symbol of extraordinary beginnings, of a single act of kindness, of friendship blossoming into love, and of three hearts choosing to journey together, hand in hand, into a bright and hopeful tomorrow.